we're all human. And so sometimes here's what we do. We go by and we go, hey, how you doing? And our voice in the back of our head is like, please, God, I hope they don't answer that because I need to keep moving. Please don't answer me. Because we've all got two shirts. We've got the one that says Hall of Fame, and we got one Hall of Shame, okay? So I did this and it worked. I did that and it didn't work. Everybody that's on this planet right now wants two things. They want to be loved and they want more time. And that together equals be nice to people. Treat them like you want to be treated.
What's up, guys? Lift and Love. Lift and Love here. Where did you pull this question from? Why is that? Lift Love. Crochet. We out. What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Lifting Love podcast. You are awesome. And today's episode is brought to you by Lake Hickory Pub and Marina, where lake and life meet. Make sure you go support them. They've been gracious enough to allow us to film our podcast here. So shout out to Lake Hickory Pub and Marina. Also, if you haven't, hit that subscribe button. We post a weekly podcast every Wednesday, 8:30 a.m. here on our YouTube channel. But enough about me. Enough about my things. We got a CEO in the house. We got the CEO of Community. I hope they changed your title to this. The CEO of Community for Cloninger Automotive. It's JD Abee. How are you?
I'm good, and when we do come up with a title, I'll be sure and reach back out. So y'all want to make sure you stay tuned for this.
I don't even think if you were given a title, it would even cover half of the things that you do. You're always doing something. You're at every community event. You're everywhere. They couldn't give you enough titles. They need to give like Dan Bryan. All your titles just on a list. Yeah.
Well, for those of you that grew up in a Baptist church, every year you got another tag to hang on. So I could have one with those. But really, I don't know what it is, but the main purpose is just to be out in the dealership and getting word out about the Cloninger Automotive and all dealers. There's some really good people in our group. So my official title is today is hanging out with you fine folks.
It's just your title is whatever you're doing at that moment.
Yeah, it can be a lot of things sometimes, but
heart emoji.
Yeah, I think you picked that up a while ago. That's good.
All right. For the people who may not know you, because you're probably one of the most known people that I know out here. For someone who may not know who are you and what do you do?
So JD Abee, local boy too. I was born and raised in Burr County, and I work for Cloninger Automotive. And again, my primary thing is to be out and about community functions. Anything going on in the community, we want to try to be there as best we can. It may not be me, it may be one of our folks, but with multiple locations, it's really important for us to be involved in that, giving back to the community.
And I think that's one of the cool things about you guys specifically is that you guys are spread out. You're not like most dealerships, they'll have that row and they're just in that one community, which is great, which is awesome. Yeah. But you guys are so spread out. And I mean, I see you doing all different county events. You're all over the place. That's got to feel good to a sense because now you're not just in the Catawba County. You're not just in Caldwell. You're not just in Burke. But you're in all these places. It seems like you're like a hologram. You're all over. You could be anywhere, anytime, any place, right? How hard has that been in your role?
So, give you a little backdrop. So, I was in the dealership setting as a general manager forever. I say forever, for 20 years. Wow. And then got the opportunity to come out and be a part of all of our stores. And at that time, we had 5 stores in 4 locations. So it was pretty cool. We've since added a Honda store in Salisbury. But people, the stress of being in the store all the time because you're running every function. You're running the sales, the service. I mean, you are the general manager. It's basically all yours. Yeah. You get the good and the bad. So with whatever's going on. And so I was in the store forever. Well, now that I'm actually out, people say, a lot of people think, that's got to be a lot less stressful. Let me tell you, it's very stressful some days. You've got to be at this function at 8:30 and it lasts till 9, and then you've got a 9:15, and by the way, one may be in Morganton and one may be in Hickory, or now Salisbury a lot, because let me kind of give folks a drop. We're in Morganton, Hickory, and Salisbury with Ford stores. And then we have a Toyota store in Salisbury. Then we have a Toyota store in Florence, South Carolina. And as I just mentioned, we picked up the Honda store in Salisbury. So I don't go to Florence that often,
Yeah.
but I'm in Hickory, Morganton, and Salisbury very regular now. So it can be a little bit stressful because you hit it right on the head. We're not just in the 3 counties or even the 4 counties with, the Rowan County. We're in Watauga County some, we're up in Avery County, we do McDowell, we're down in Forest City and Rutherfordton. So there's a lot of stuff going on that and I wish we could be in more places, but it's stressful now just sometimes on where you're going to be at during that day.
So let's go back with your story. 20 years as general manager. Let's go back even further.
Okay. So
always saw yourself in cars.
No, yeah,
what did you want to do when you were younger?
what do you consider young? No, I'm just kidding.
You're only like 26, right?
Yeah, I'm 26. It's got a 6 in it, but there's a 1 after it. So it's 61. Yeah, I've told people when I turned 60, I said, I had a 6 before several times, but I didn't know it was going to be the front number. But I turned 61 just a couple, actually last Wednesday.
Really?
So
happy birthday.
Yeah,
I'm April 7th.
Yeah, there you go. See,
Happy
April's
birthday.
a good month.
It is a great month.
So here's a quick backdrop. As I said earlier, a Burke County boy, graduated East Burke High School in '82. Took about a year and helped my dad on the farm and did a few things there. Played a lot of golf, hung out with some guys, and then went to Western Piedmont. So I'm finishing up at Western Piedmont, and a friend of mine says, "Hey, there's a dealership in Hudson," and at that time it was Caldwell and Cahill Ford, Lincoln Mercury. So he said, we need some people to come over and talk to folks. And now, mind you, folks, I was not as talkative and as outgoing as I am now.
Wait, hold on a second. Hold on. There's a version of you that was less social?
A much less version, a lot quieter guy. I mentioned farm, so I was fresh off the farm.
Wow.
I was never shy, but I just wasn't the guy that would go out to the front like I am now. I'll step out in front now. But so anyhow, I wasn't working at that time, and so guy said, "Hey, come over." And at that time, they're going to give you X amount of dollars to come over and talk to people. And I said, I'd never thought about doing that, but here I am. I realized what the money was, and I said, okay, cool. So I went over, hung out that day, stayed for a while, went back the next day, stayed for a little while longer, went back Monday, and the sales manager at the time came over and said, "Hey, here's your money for being here." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's pretty cool." And he said, "You can stay anytime you want." So I stayed there. That was Valentine's Day of 1986 was my first official day.
Wow.
So that's 39 years later. Here's where we are. But stayed at the dealership in Hudson, went through a few name changes there, and each time I got an opportunity to kind of step up and do a different position, grow with the company and leadership, and the monetary side was pretty good as well, so I stayed with that. And then I went to Morganton in 2001, and it was a dealership. It was Martin Fagan Ford at that time. Wow. And stayed there, and then it went from Martin Fagan to Martin Family. The Martin Family took the store back over and then stayed there. And then in 2017, Larry Cloninger bought the dealership in Morganton, and it became Cloninger Ford of Morganton. And I'd known Larry for a while, stayed with the dealership as general manager. I actually took over as general manager in 2008. End of 07, actually, in Morganton.
So there wasn't any other thing, like it kind of just happened, and there was no other like plan. Like, did you have another career that you were maybe thinking of doing?
I don't think I was ever really sure of what I wanted to do. Wow. At one point, I thought I wanted to do something in biology side, maybe with wildlife coordination and do that. I didn't want to be a game warden or a wildlife officer or that, and I love the people that do that. Yeah. We certainly need them, but it wasn't that. And then once I got into the automotive side of it, and it just clicked. Yeah. I only sold for about 14 months and was very fortunate to be salesman of the month every month but one or two. And then somebody that saw, hey, this guy may have more potential, and so I went from selling to started taking the management steps, and then here we are today. It's been a really good career. I've been very fortunate.
So it's kind of crazy how it just literally fell into your lap.
Yeah.
Like hey, I know someone who they're looking for people. Go try it out. And you just didn't even think of it. Like, it wasn't even a thought. And then all of a sudden, it just naturally came to you.
It was definitely not on the radar as, I think I'm going to be a car salesman one day. That was not.
Wait, hold on. Yeah. That wasn't your boyhood dream?
Yeah. I didn't draw pictures of cars and a salesman with a tie on at that time when I was a kid, Everybody's drawing policemen and firemen and, they want to be doctors and they want to be helpful people. And I'm helpful just in a different way. But, yeah, it wasn't like, I think I'm going to grow up and be a car salesman one day.
So you really quickly climbed the ladder just because you were naturally good at selling cars. Yeah. And with that, when you're doing good in sales, hey, let's see if he can manage people. Yeah. So what was management like? Like how you said 14 months and then you made a jump to management?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Wow. That's impressive.
It was so weird because there was a lot of folks that I was working with that were some of them almost 3 times my age. But I got to say this too, Lenny. When growing up, I had the foundation of mom and dad. Yeah. You know, they gave that foundation. I've said it forever that my dad was one of the finest Christian men I ever knew, but he used a 4-letter word all the time, crickets. And the word was work. Wow. So we worked, and that was a value that he instilled. So then I got into the professional side and didn't know I was in the professional side of it. I still thought, I'm just a young cool guy at that time. Now I'm an old cool guy. But, I was just a young guy in the dealership, and several people, as you mentioned, said, here's a guy, let's take some interest in him. So they put their arms around me and helped me through the situations that came up and gave me some really good leadership. And so I learned a lot from each of them. And I got to give credit to those folks that I was around in that leadership position. They didn't just say, oh, here's a young guy passing through. And then the old saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I was certainly ready a lot of times in those different ones, and there's names, and I won't name them all, but there's a lot of folks that had tremendous value and I gained a lot of knowledge from in my professional career.
When was the point that in those first 14 months that you were like, maybe this could be something? Or was it not until you became a manager and in that, when did it really become and solidify that you're like, I could probably make a career out of this?
It's very specific time. It was in October of that year. So I started in Valentine's, February, and in October, there was several people that were on the management staff, and a couple of them got an opportunity to go to a different dealership. They lived in Gastonia. So both of these gentlemen, they got an opportunity to go to work for a dealer in Charlotte. I was going to say South Carolina, but it was Charlotte. And they gave no notice that they were leaving. They actually left on a Friday afternoon. Both of them took off. So Saturday morning, I had a sit down with the dealer at that time, and he gave me kind of the dad, grandfather, big brother, uncle speech all wrapped into one, that if you want this, here's a few things that you need to change, and we need to gear towards that. Yeah. And so I thought, I'm not sure, because it was like April or May the next year before we really got serious about going into management. Yeah. But in October, he sat down with me and gave me a really good conversation that I still keep personal, but it was very good. And I think that was the turning point when I said, I'm going to do this. Because up till then, I was selling cars, still playing golf, hanging out with my buddies, and I worked a lot because I was there 5 and 6 days a week. Yeah. Because I just love the business, and I thought it was a really fun business to be in. I mean, I'm selling something that I don't own to people and helping them with their transportation and getting paid to do it. And wait a minute, I don't own this stuff. I get to sell it anyway. Yeah. And so it was really cool. But in October of that same year, I had a really good conversation that led to me saying, I'm going to do this.
That's awesome. And when you actually decided to take that opportunity or take it serious, the opportunity, what clicked? Was it kind of just like, I'm a go-getter, I'm gonna make this happen? Or was it kind of just like, I see the opportunity, I see myself taking that next step? Or were you just like, there's an opportunity, I'm taking it, I don't care who's in my way type of deal?
So what clicked really was the money.
Hey, we got some. I love the. One of my favorite things about you is your honest and transparency.
Yeah, I wish I could say it was. I had this vision and it was out there and I was chasing it and I had words coming from above and all this stuff. But no, it was the monetary side that first year because I had been so fortunate to sell and my surveys were really good. Yeah. I'm just me. I was even me back then. I'm just the same guy. Yeah. And I didn't have any fluff. It wasn't, could I sell something if I really needed to? I think so. But I think really what the turning point was realizing that if you just help people, because they know what they want. And even now, that's as true as it's ever been. Yeah. Before we picked up this thing called, like we're on now, what is the internet? Yeah, we picked up the internet somewhere along the way. But it was just helping people and then realizing that the more I was able to help them, they were just so happy about it. And then all of a sudden I'm standing there not knowing it. And so-and-so walks in and says, hey, I'm looking for JD. And I go over and I don't know who they are. And they say, well, so-and-so sent me down here. You sold them a vehicle last week, last month, last year, whatever it was. And that was really cool. But the monetary part was the driver. But it was like I don't know how to describe it other than it was like, I got to get this next car deal. I got to help this next group of people.
It was just like it was like a rush. It was like
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
Did it like become like arcade-esque? Like it was like a game to a point? Not the people, but like the actual transaction, like the moving of inventory must have just felt like, okay, let's go. I got another one.
It's just, unless you've been there with it, you just don't understand it. It's like, okay, I sold a car. I got to go figure out a way to help somebody else.
And I love how you say it just like that. Help somebody else.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure everyone has had their, there's a moment they could think of that pushy car salesman.
Look, everybody's got two stories for sure. They've got the good car story and the bad car story.
100%.
Okay? Absolutely.
100%.
And I'm very aware of that. So I'm just making sure that we're trying to do as many as we can and do it the right way at night. And I was going home and like, God, this is so much fun.
Yeah.
We've probably all heard that if you do something that you love, you don't ever work a day in your life. I've been very fortunate. There's been some days of work, but for the most part, I love to get up and go to work and try to improve somebody's life and help them, whatever it may be. You know?
That's the awesome part. It's like there's actual help there because it's not like you sell a car. Obviously, there's the commission side, blah, blah, blah. But like someone could have a car that's not running right. They got a family. They need to get places. Like you're helping them get into a car that is in a better situation for them. Yep. Maybe there's, a monetary value of a monthly payment, stuff like that. That is what it is. But you're helping them get to work with the peace of mind. They're able to bring their kids to daycare. They're able to do all these things with the peace of mind, not like, oh my goodness, my car is about to explode. My car's about to break down. Like that part of it where it's more than a transaction. You, like you said, you have people coming up that you're like, who are these people? Oh, well, so-and-so had a great experience with you. Putting that customer first mentality that probably has paid so many dividends for you. But going into management, what was your expectation?
Well, I got to give you the fear first. The fear was being young and not being perceived well by others and accepted by the other management staff.
When you say young, how old were you at this time?
Okay, so I started when I was 22.
Okay. Management?
No. So I had just turned 23 and was mid 23 when I got in the management side of it. So I remember specifically there were a couple guys that were in their 60s at that time, which I thought, oh my God, that was old. Now I realize how young they were. But there was such an age gap in my first management group. Yeah. And I'll only use the first names, but there was Bob that was in there. There was Tim. There was Nelson, Walt. All these guys had been around the business for a while, and they seemed to really have a grip on things. And my fear was, am I going to fit in with this group? I wasn't worried about fitting in with the sales side of it because I knew those guys. They were, they'd all come up through the ranks with me for a lot of times. And at one point, that store in Hudson had 21 salespeople. So it was really a lot happening years ago in that area, and Morganton as well. Morganton was a big store as well. But I had been a lot more seasoned by the time I went to Morganton, thank goodness. But it was that fear of failure that I think we all face sometimes. The fear of the unknown. How are people going to perceive me? And I can't remember all of them, but I remember a couple early ones when I actually walked out to handle a situation and was introduced as one of the managers, and people would like, get the real manager.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Hey, how are you? I'm the manager.
Yeah. I didn't ask for a kid. I asked for a manager. I did hear that one time. But I think the values that some of those guys had instilled in me early, and I knew I had backup, that they had my back as far as helping me through that. Yeah. I think that made it a lot easier to do it.
That's so awesome. And so when did Cloninger come into the picture?
Cloninger came in 2017, and I was in Morganton at that time. So I left Hudson in 2001 and went to Morganton again. It was under Martin Fagan at that time. Ken Fagan was there, and of course Ann and Ed Martin did a tremendous job with that dealership over the years. They had kind of thought about maybe partnership with Ken, and so that's why it was Martin Fagan. And then when Ken left, it went back to Martin family, and Mike Martin took it back over, and it stayed that until Crossroads bought it in 2008 or 2007. 2007 is when they actually bought it, because I became general manager in 2008, which was a tough year as well. Everybody remembers that. And then in 2017, May the 3rd of 2017, Larry Cloninger bought the Morganton store.
So over the years, it seems like you've had a lot of not only management experience, but you've had a lot of leadership throughout the years. Life lessons that you've learned from management. What are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned?
So I will use the full name on this one because I think a lot of him, Tommy Sizemore. I learned a lot under Tommy Sizemore. And here's what he always said. And it's kind of really weird in one sense, but it just shows how things are put together. Larry Cloninger uses this same thing. Treat people like you want to be treated. They're not all going to like you. You're not going to like all of them.
Yeah.
But treat people the way you want to be treated. And when you finish, whether it's a good or a stressful situation that required, am I doing the right thing? Is this right for them? Is it right for us? Is it right for everybody? Just do the right thing, and then that will take care of itself. So Tommy Sizemore early on, and then Larry Cloninger even now uses that. Just treat people the way they want to be treated.
That's so awesome.
It's so simple, and
Yeah.
we sometimes struggle to do that, but it's really comes down to just how do we want to be treated? Everything, vehicles especially, they're very expensive. It's a stressful time. People don't want to be there. We understand that. We don't want to be there sometimes, okay? But it's a stressful time because there's all these stories, as we mentioned earlier, Lenny, that people have a good and a bad car story. And unfortunately, there's a lot of bad car stories out there. So just treat people the way they want to be treated. Give them the information because that's what they're there for. They're not there to buy a car. They're there to get information and get the car that they wanted to, that they've already looked at. And the information about product knowledge. I remember at one time we stressed product knowledge, and we practiced every Saturday. Did a walk around on the vehicle. We opened the doors, opened the hood, talked about the stuff on the car, how it worked, how the cassettes worked. See, I'm going way back. How some of the features on the car worked, and that's not as important now because we have everything we need on our palm of our hand with our phone. So we're able to know what the rear end ratio is. We're able to know what the performance is, the horsepower, the features and stuff. Now we're just looking for somebody that give us the information so we can make a decision. Yeah.
Was there any point as a general manager that you thought for a second, had an inkling of doing anything other than what you were doing?
There was actually a couple of different times.
Oh.
A couple of different ones. Had a great opportunity. It kept growing. At first it was like, no, I don't want to do that. And then it was like, well, you may want to consider that. No, I don't want to do that. And then it kept going to where it was like, okay, maybe I do need to consider this and look at it. It was still in the automotive industry, but a completely different position. And so I went away from that. The only other time that it really came up was had an opportunity to manage a huge building complex company. They had businesses all over the East Coast. They had places in Orlando, Atlanta, Baltimore. Charlotte was kind of on the up and coming, and it was the traveling of each of these businesses, buildings. I looked at that fairly close, but then it came to where I really don't want to travel and be away from my wife that much.
But it wasn't like traveling, because I mean you do travel now, but like it wasn't the traveling of like different states and all over the place.
It is totally different now. I'm home, every night. There's occasionally that the company function that we may be for training. I was in Kansas for a number of years, back and forth regularly. But and I may spend the night occasionally somewhere, business related, but it's not like I'm going to be leaving on Sunday afternoon and, honey, I'll see you sometime Friday. So I really didn't want to do that part.
Yeah.
The compensation of that was really good, and I think it was a great opportunity. It really kind of put me in perspective for some things as well that I really believed helped, because it was basically just managing people. And managing people is nothing more than helping people. I use that word a lot, but it really is helping people, personally and professionally. So I said no to that, but ever since, that was a long time ago, and I never looked back.
Do you ever regret not taking that position?
No, never.
Wow.
No, never.
I think there's a lot there's a lot of people who have like regretted decisions that they could or should have made. And I think perspective in life, and it seems like you're one of the people, so I want to bring it up. It seems like you have such clarity in life. Like you have this freeness about you that you know what you're doing, you're good at what you do, and like I genuinely just could not see you doing anything else. Do you feel like that sometimes, having that clarity, like that just that freeness? Like, what has that been like in the role that you're in now?
There's definitely a lot of clarity in this is what I feel like I should be doing, without a doubt, because I'm able to touch so many people now. And I use this, Lenny, a lot, and this has been true. So I do a lot of different speaking engagements. I may be at a high school, I may be at a college, wherever I'm at, or different businesses. But when you're able to talk to people about what you're passionate about, it makes it real easy to do that. And having that direction of, golly, this is so cool that I'm getting to know people that I knew. Oh, I knew them, but I didn't really know them. And when you sit down with them, maybe at a Rotary function or at one of the colleges, and you're in that closed room of maybe 5 or 6 people, and we're sharing information about, hey, how's your son this weekend on his ball game? You know, how's your daughter doing on recital? Or, hey, you know, how's this coming for you and the wife? What's going on, this and that and the other? And you're able to ask it because we're all human. And so sometimes here's what we do. We go by and we go, hey, how you doing? And our voice in the back of our head is like, please, God, I hope they don't answer that because I need to keep moving. You know, please don't answer me. But it's not that way with me. I really want to know what's going on with you and how you're doing. Yeah. But it's also very stressful. Yeah. It's stressful when you were the person that was just going in the room occasionally, because my oldest brother calls it the glass house. You know, we lived in the glass house all the time because you're in the dealership when you get there in the morning, and a lot of times you're putting the key in it at night as a general manager. You're spending the day with your employees and guests that are coming in, so you've only got a small window of time at night to do the work that needs to be done behind the scenes, the numbers that you're doing, the stuff you're tracking. So when everybody leaves, you're able to do that. I got real close with the cleanup people when I was in Morganton. They were just fantastic, and at night they would look back over the corner and say, JD, you good? And I'm like, yep, okay, we're locking you in. By the way, that's the wrong way to do it, and I do that in one of my speeches. That's the way I did it. It's not the way to do it, staying gone all the time, because I worked. I was a confessed workaholic. Yeah. I knew that, and that is completely the wrong way to do it. But the pressure now is, am I going to be able to give these folks or this person individually what they really want from me? Are they looking for a professional advice that I can help them with? Are they looking for something in the career that I've done that would help make them better? So that's a lot of pressure in itself, but I still embrace that part of it, that I'm learning so much from the people that I'm around. Yeah. The president of our company, Brad Tyson, the dealer, Larry Cloninger, all of our general managers, I just learn so much from them every day, and a lot of our other people. You know, they've got tremendous ideas, and if we can all, as leaders, help that next leader by because we've all got 2 shirts. We've got the one that says Hall of Fame, and we got one Hall of Shame. Okay, so I did this and it worked. I did that and it didn't work. So if we can learn from that, and if I can give that information to our young leaders now, then I feel like it's been a successful day.
You mentioned something, workaholic. I think that's a lot of people struggle with that balance, right? That work-life balance that everybody so much wants in life. Because, I mean, there's a lot of things that go on, you know, family, life, having time off, taking care of your mental well-being, all that stuff. How hard, well, first off, have you scaled back from being a workaholic?
Yes, I have.
Hold on, you look a little guilty there.
I still, again, remember when I said I love what I do, so it makes it real easy, but I don't work near as much, but I think I'm working a lot smarter and a lot more specific in the actions. So if I've got to be, for example, if I've got to be in Morganton for a while, and then I've got to be in Hickory and then back to Morganton, I try to make sure that the time I'm there is being, you know, helpful to those around me. And really, like, okay, if I've committed that I'm going to be back in Morganton at 2:00, for example, then I want to make sure I'm there close to 2 as I can be. That doesn't mean 3:45. Now, something could come up, but I try to make sure I maintain that schedule of getting this done. And a lot of people say, oh, you can just delegate stuff. Well, there's certain things that you can delegate, but as leaders, there's certain things that we have to do ourselves in order to provide that additional support. So I don't work as much as I did, but I still work a lot because, again, I love what I do. But now the 80-hour weeks, spending the night when they're calling for snowstorm in the dealership, no, don't do it. Yeah.
Any regret on that side?
Absolutely.
Is there things? What would you go back and change?
Just one example is it's okay if you're not the first one there in the morning, and it's okay if you're not there late every night.
Was it out of just necessity? Was it out of a pure desire of just wanting to be the best? Like what kept you there? What made you become that type of like have that work ethic?
So early on, you're trying to prove yourself. As a young leader, you're like, okay. And there was one guy, his name's Carlos. I'll just use first name, but it got to where like he would be there in the morning at 15 after 7. The next day I'd be there at 10 after. Then the next day he'd be there at 5 after. So this went on for a couple of months. I mean, it was like, who could be the first one there?
Yeah.
And finally, one day, the two of us and one of the other leaders came over and said, look, what y'all are doing is stupid. He just came right out. What y'all are doing is stupid. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he goes, this racing to see who can be the first one here? That's not good. What you need to do is see who can be here after 9 now. Because we were, 8:30 sales meetings. And that gentleman taught us a lot, too, that you don't have to be there all the time. If you're scheduled to be here, and, of course, I was raised that, on time is early and on time is late, early is on time. So, if your time is to be there at 8 o'clock and you get there at 2 till, what can you really get accomplished? Just run in and like you're scrambling. So there's a fine line of that, 15, 20 till, whatever it was. But that staying all the time and looking back was not the right way to do it. So I'll give that advice to the young people watching. There's more to life than just working all the time.
So go back to Cloninger now. Let's go back to when it first changed over. When did you become the JD that you are now, as far as title?
2003. 2023. Sorry, not 2003. 2023. Brad Tyson, the president of the company, and Larry Cloninger said, hey, we've got a different fit for this guy. Let's see what works. Let's talk about a couple of things of what we can do because we really want to be involved in the community. We really need somebody out there that's spreading the word about not only Cloninger, but the industry overall. And here's a kind of a side note. A lot of people think dealers are like, we're constantly, no, we're all friends with each other. We know each other. We really want to help each other. If we have an employee that feels like they need to do something different, somebody else, we want to help them do that.
Yeah.
We can't live up to our core value and core focus if we're not doing that. And the core value and core focus is guest first, integrity, and just better. And then it's improving the lives of our associates, guests, and community with just better automotive solutions. If we have an employee that feels they need to go somewhere inside or outside the industry, we want to help them do that. We really do. We will pick up the phone and say, hey, so-and-so, I've got such and such here that may be a better fit for you. They want to come there to go to work for you because of whatever reason. Maybe it's something going on in their life. But it really changed in 2023 when Brad said, hey, we want you to do this. And when it first started, Lenny, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have a clue. I just knew they wanted me to be at certain events and try to get the name of the dealership out there and talk about Cloninger Automotive. And then it just kept growing and growing and growing. And then more and more groups as I was able to attend different functions. Here in this, they have a First Friday Brew here. They have a Leads group in Catawba County. They have a Business for Breakfast in Burr County. Notice I hit all three of those. So one can't be mad at the other. But they each have so many functions going on that I just felt like, okay, let me plug in. That's where I met you. Yeah, let me just plug in and see who all we can meet. And it was amazing. Like everywhere I went, it was like, I know these people. I know them. I just don't know them.
Yeah.
And so it allowed me to open up a lot more opportunity and be out a lot more engaged in the county because I am literally everywhere. I'm all over the place. I'm literally all over the place.
Literally. I literally think I've seen you. I see you at just about every networking event that I go to. I'm like, I look around, I'm like, there's pretty much a couple consistent people that are there, and you're one of them. And it's just, with the schedule that you have, it's just so impressive that you're able to hit every single county, all these different events. And it's not like you're just at the same events. Like you're at the Friday Morning Brews, you're at the Leads groups, you're at all these different things. And it's like, how?
Yeah.
Like, how? You got to be one of the most busy people I know, and you still make time for it because you realize how important it is. And Cloninger, it seems like in 2023, made the jump to be like, we need a community person. Yes. So let me ask you, so you got that role in 2023.
Yes.
When did you become this JD personality-wise?
I think it was there. I was just able to bring it out in 2023.
Really?
Yeah. I was always the positive guy. Let's get it going. The rah-rah. Let's put balloons out. Let's open some doors. Let's go back through service and speak to everybody and say, hey, how's your morning? What's going on? And genuinely mean it when you stop and say that. But I was that guy, and I'd been that guy for a long time. But it was just able to I guess bloom out more or come out more and cover more of an area. We had a really strong connection with Caldwell County because that's where I started. and was here for a long time. And Burr County, the connection was because that's where I was born and raised. My family's from over there. All of them are still local. My dad worked with Walt Inch and Bakeries for 30 years. My mom worked with special needs student kids for 30 years. My sister was in the school system for 43. Had a brother that was an insurance guy, owned 4 agencies, was in the insurance business forever. I'm giving you some family back. Middle brother worked with the fire and rescue program for 9 counties in the community college program, had been chief of the fire department, was in the fire department since he was a junior guy. So the family knew a lot of people. And the Abees from all over Burr County, that's us. And my mom was an Eichert, which is another group. So we're kind of like everybody anyway. But it was really just being able to get out to other areas, more connected in Caldwell, because I was in Burr County in the dealership a lot of times. I was there all day. So I wasn't able to go to some of the functions. And some of the functions that I thought I would attend, somebody else may go to, or we just didn't go. Yeah. And so that was a really good opportunity to actually be out and start meeting people and shaking hands away from the dealership. So I do try to be at a lot of functions, and it's been very rewarding, very humbling, but it's been very rewarding.
And you spoke about your family. If we could talk about them real quick.
Yep.
How important has family been for you?
Oh, it's tremendous. Got the best wife in the world. Met her selling her car. Actually, I didn't sell her car. Somebody else sold her car, and then we went out. But
whoa! Let's backtrack. We need that story. Go ahead. Story time.
Yeah. So Sharon and her dad came into the dealership to buy a vehicle, and so she was working with one of the other sales guys, and I was like, oh, she's pretty hot, pretty cute. See where this goes. And I was just kind of, just watching her walk around a little bit, and they bought a car, and there's a whole lot more to that story. But later on, we, met up, and so 7 years of dating and going on 31 years of marriage, here we are.
That's unbelievable. Yeah. No, but with how hard you worked, there probably wasn't another way to really find someone else to be with.
Yeah, unless they were buying a car, because I wasn't out a whole lot. Unless they were either buying a car or playing golf, that was about it. Because that's the only 2 places that I was at most of the time.
So you met her when she bought a car at the dealership. That's unbelievable.
Yep.
31 years of marriage?
Be 31 in August this year.
Oh my God! Well, congratulations on 31 years. of marriage.
The only reason we dated 7 years, I'd like to say it's because I got tired of running, but that's not the truth. Okay, the real serious truth is I was just so busy. I felt like I needed to work, just work.
Does that go back to one of your regrets of working too much?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my big regrets is that I didn't marry my wife sooner than I did.
Really?
Yeah, and we old school dated. I know they do it different now, but we may be at a Ford function or an event together, but she went to her house, I went to my house, and so for 7 years we dated. 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why the regret of why didn't you date her? Why didn't you marry her earlier? Was it just genuinely work?
I really think it was just work. I felt like I was chasing career so hard. I wanted to climb that ladder. What's that next thing? What's the next big opportunity that's coming up? And by the way, young people, that's again not the way to do it. I have that in one of my speeches. Stay tuned. We may come back to that later on, Lenny. That may be another podcast for another day. I was just so focused on the money. I was so focused on the growth, and I really felt like I needed to be there. And I know what people are thinking, that's a weak excuse. It really was so just out there in front of everything else that I just lost track of anything more than wanting to work.
But I think it's so powerful too, because a lot of people aren't as dedicated to their craft. Right? They're always looking for the other opportunity instead of seeing the opportunity right in front of them, where maybe they're unhappy with the position they're at, but another promotion up and you could be 10 times happier, right? For you, maybe if you were selling cars for 3 years and just a quote unquote salesman, maybe you wouldn't be doing this right now.
Right.
But you got that opportunity in the company that you were working at to take that management leap, and I think for some people right now who are stuck in that position, it's like, I'm stuck here. But for you, it was like, I'm going to keep going and I'm going to find it not here. not outside of here, but let's see what we can do here and make the most of your time at the place instead of hold on a second. Is there another opportunity out here? No? Okay. So I think that definitely is something that you can admire, where it's a lot of people don't stay at the same place for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
And you're there how long now? This year is how long?
So I just celebrated 39 years, and I've really only been at 2 locations during that time. Now, I'm in Hickory a lot because of our group, and I'm in Salisbury, but I'm still majority Morganton.
Yeah.
And so I was in Hudson and then Morganton basically the entire career. Now, there were several name changes, as I mentioned, through each location, but I really, and this is a good word for the young people or people that are in a position and they say, God, they're overlooking me. I'm not growing. I'm sure you're being noticed. And what is management doing about that, or what direction are they taking may be the effect of that. Because people don't quit. They don't quit the job.
Yeah.
They quit people. They quit. They don't quit the job because most people really like what they're doing and they want to go and be a good part of that company. Nobody gets up in the morning, Lenny, and says, "Hey, I'm gonna go to work today and do the crappiest job I can do. I want to go suck at every position they put me in." Okay,
I'm gonna be awful today.
I'm going to be so bad today. It's going to be amazing. They're going to really go home and talk about me. But if the opportunity is not there, then maybe you need to make the change. Because if you're doing the stuff that should be getting recognized, and for whatever reason, and there's certain clicks and different things that may happen in a business, but if you're not getting recognized, then you may need to take a look at what you're doing. But I was very fortunate that what is the next opportunity that's out there? And then I just kept showing my work. I wasn't knocking on somebody's door going, "Hey, I'm your guy. Next time you get a shot." I was out working the other people. And so the recognition came from that because I did what the other people didn't want to do. And back then, now remember, I'm talking about 86 when I was selling. They would hand me the phone book and say, "Call this page of people." Literally.
Yeah.
And you would just call them up. And for example, "Hey, is this Lenny? Lenny, this is JD. I'm calling you from Caldwell and Cahill. Got your name off of a list. Just want to call and say, hey."
Wow.
Not, "I need to sell your car, get your butt over here, let's hurry and do this." It was just about, and it's a numbers game. And it still is to this day. The automotive is such a numbers. You want to sell more cars, you want to service more cars, you want to do more of whatever you're doing, then you've got to have more opportunities in front of you. It doesn't matter what you're doing now, it's more opportunities. If it's somebody that's listening to this that works on production, then it's about numbers. The more I can do, the more I generate, the more there may be monetary at the end, the more there may be. But I think we just have to continue to outwork the people around us so that is recognized. And then if it's not, then that's another conversation or another thing. But I'll give you this also. One of the first positions that I really put my sights on was, and it was kind of backwards. Now we make sure that they go through the sales side of it, and then they go through the business manager, finance side, F&I side, whatever it is. Well, back then that was a whole different scenario. They wanted you to sell, then they wanted you to maybe go into one or other two management leaderships before you did the finance side of it. Well, I realized that, golly, there's a couple guys in the store that when it's 100 degrees outside or when it's 20 degrees outside, they're not outside, And I thought, how do I figure out a way to do that? So I would go in the office when they were finishing up, finalizing the deal, and watch what they were doing. Wow. And I'm like, I'm going to do this one day. And then so I got an opportunity to do the finance side of it, and that's when I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. And then I just kept trying to outrun it.
So you were genuinely just obsessed with the craft.
Yes. What's the next move? What can I do next? How do I get better at this? How can I get better at that? Yeah.
What do you think was the biggest, over your career, what do you think was the biggest life lesson that you learned?
I got to share this without a doubt. It's all the things that we talk about. You got to help people. You got to do what's right and all that stuff. That's all important. But here is the biggest lesson that I have learned and continue to learn it to this day. You do not know who knows who. You don't know.
You don't.
You just do not know who knows who. And especially in the sales side, that's so important because you got to have a good reputation. And let me tell you, in the automotive industry, maybe like a lot of others, it would be real easy to make a wrong turn. There's so many opportunities that were out there. It's just endless the opportunities that you could have taken a different direction. Yeah. But again, it goes back to a good foundation at home, and then of course at church and other people that work with me is just treat people the way they want to be treated and do what's right. That was a key.
Yeah, I think it's super important too, because I think there is, especially in the car business, and I'm sure you deal with this on a pretty frequent basis. Like you said earlier, everyone's got two stories. Good car story, bad car story. Dealing with people who come with a bad car story, that for you must be the best because you get to completely change the narrative.
Yes.
We're not only going to give you the best service and best quality customer service, but we're going to make it an experience that can trump the bad experience.
Yes.
And now you have a good car story.
Yes.
And it could be with Cloninger. And I think that's the thing for the community side of it, where it's like going back to you don't know who you don't know. You don't know who knows who. It's like you help one person, or you go to all these events, you talk to thousands of people. Mm-hmm. You help one of them, that person could know 1,000 more other people. That one person, that one story, that one customer can have a major impact on business.
Yep.
For most people, it's like, well, it's just one customer that you sold a car to. If that one customer knows 1,000 people, if that one customer knows 100 people, that one customer knows 3 other people who want to buy a car today.
Yep.
That's how the business runs itself.
Sure.
So having the ability to change perspective, and for you to be out in the community to be the face of Cloninger before you even step into the dealership. Mm-hmm. I've never been to Cloninger. Well, I mean, I've been there once or twice now, but before I've never been there. Didn't know. I only knew you.
Yeah.
So that experience, the social, the positivity, the happiness that you like ooze out positivity because you could just tell you love your job. That is so valuable, and you do such a great job. I just want to give you your flowers. I think that's
I appreciate that.
incredible.
Well, it's again the dealer and the president of the company that allow me to be able to do this, because a lot of dealers, they really do want to do this, and they want to give a great experience. They want to be out in the community. They want to support and help. They're just not. They just don't do that for some reason. Some of them may not have the means, and they may not have the person. And what I mean by that, not trying to be but I'm very local, born and raised here, been in Byrd County all my life. As I told you earlier, the family connections. My wife teaches in Caldwell. She's in her 29th year. And we just really been connected in this community. So they may not have that person, because it takes somebody to constantly go to some of these events and functions, and it's like you just walk around and you're not talking to anybody and nobody's talking to you. One of the things I have been very thankful for is that forever I would go in and I would make sure I spoke to somebody and said, hey, I was the guy looking at who do I not know, and let me go speak to somebody new. And I find myself now a lot of times people are approaching me, which again, I've used this several times. It's very humbling to be like, okay, why are they asking me questions about different things? So it's very humbling, but you just have to really commit to it, that I want to make a difference in people's lives and I want to help people, and that bad experience can be overcome with a good one. You know, whatever we've done that has been a bad experience, and it could be a plethora of things. But then if we give that opportunity to make it right, or to go back, okay, how many times have we said, I'm going to try this one more time? I'm going to go back here one more time. I'm going to do this one more time. And it is a good experience because we're all creatures of basically the same habits. We want the same dentist. We want the same barber. I don't really use one, you can tell. But
when's the last time you got a full head of haircut?
Well, that changed also in 20. But we want things consistent. We like to go to the same church. We like to associate with the same people for the most part. Yeah. You know, I'm in Rotary. I really enjoy going with those people and being around them. Some of the other functions and events that we're at. But we want that. So why would we not want and appreciate that in somebody in our automotive needs? And I think that's usually important. And one of the reasons that I have been on some level of successful is I was very consistent with people. I treated them all the same. Didn't make any difference, because I knew, you and I said before the podcast came on, everybody's got a lot going on, because it's that 4-letter word of life. They've all got a lot going on. And so that the fact that their car may have broke down, they really don't want to be there. They're getting an oil change. They really don't want to be there because they're pushing the time of being over to take the kid to a soccer, maybe go see mom and dad, maybe see a friend somewhere. So if we can be cognizant of that time and treat people, then it'll all come back. And I was very fortunate along the way. Again, I used Tommy Sizemore's name. There's another gentleman, Bernard Hawkins, who took me under his wing. He had been with the dealership 52 years when he left.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. He was those of you that are local will know this. The dealership in Hudson, before it came to Hudson, was at Smith Crossroads. When Smith Crossroads was a roundabout back in the day. After it was uptown, then it left from uptown in Lenoir to Smith Crossroads, where Burger King is at now. It was on that corner. And they had not only Ford vehicles, but they had Ford tractors. So when you went by the Hudson dealership and you looked up now, which is CCC and TI's truck driving center, that upper left building was where the tractor sales was at before it was a body shop.
Oh my god!
So there's your little bit of history on that. But Bernard had been with the dealership 52 years when he actually retired and left. And he took me under his wing, and he too was like, just treat people and give them the numbers. His thing was just give them the numbers. The numbers are what they are.
Yeah.
And even back then, vehicles were expensive. They're still expensive, you know. But don't shell game. Okay, well maybe I can do this, or maybe it's that, or we can do this. No, just give them. This is what it is. And so that was a big part of it.
Yeah, I recently had a car buying experience, or not buying experience, but I was shopping around, and I just got to come to Cloninger if I'm gonna get a car at this point. But I was just like, just send me the numbers. I just want to see the numbers. And the guy kept telling 4 times. It took me asking him for the numbers 4 times before he emailed me and sent me them. And he was like, I believe that you need to get in the car and see if it's a right fit for you. Send me the numbers. Send me the numbers. Send me the numbers. Send me the numbers. 4 times. I'm just like, being open and transparent in this field can be so invaluable.
Oh, yeah.
Because people are going to realize, they're going to be like, well, hold on. You're going to show me the numbers? Hold on. What's going on here?
Slow your roll.
Yes. But to be open and transparent about it is honestly the best way to go about it.
Yeah, and sometimes there's going to be a little variance. Maybe our vehicle may be a little bit less, maybe a little more. Yours may be a little less, maybe a little more.
Yeah.
But don't hide. Just here's what it is. Let's start with this and see if we can't figure this out. Remember when I said way back early in this is they just need information. We've got to have information to make a decision.
So you've been in the car business a while now. Over your time, what's been your favorite car that you've ever gotten to driven?
Oh my gosh, that is such a tough one because I really, really liked the Mustang. But I didn't drive them very much, so let's back up a ways. One of the cool perks that I had early on was I was able to get a vehicle. And years ago, we used to call it the 3 Ds. We wanted a draw, a demo, and a day off. The old car guys watching this will get that.
Yeah.
But I was able to, so I had, and as top salesperson, you could have 2 vehicles as long as they didn't have X amount of miles on them. Okay. So I would always order a cool Mustang to drive, but I always had trucks because I sold a lot of trucks. And to this day, most people see me in an F-250 pickup truck. A 150 occasionally, but usually a Super Duty. So I always ordered a lot of Mustangs. My favorite demo that I ever had was a convertible 5.0 Mustang in a manual transmission. Candy red, white top, black interior. This thing was absolutely the coolest thing. And I was like 28, 29 at the time.
Tickets.
So, oh, man. No, I'm not a speed guy, but,
you're not a speed, maybe you're not a speed guy, but you just never got caught.
Yeah, that could have been it. Did I get on it a few times? Yeah, maybe, but that was a cool car to drive around and have. And then I had a couple more Mustangs that were really cool. But over the years, I always liked if it was coming out new, that was, man, I need to drive that and just check it out. And to this day, I still get excited when I drive something that's just coming out. So Ford, when the ST Explorer just came out, and everybody's, oh, this is a fast Explorer. I'm like, okay, I can drive one. It was really cool. Yeah. The Maverick truck that came out, it was pretty cool. Back in the Lincoln, the first of anything that came out. I'll never forget the first Excursion that I drove. Those things were so hot, and they're still hot now when we made those for a while, and it was literally like driving a school bus. But it was so cool because everybody got to see it. So I go all that to tell you this. The coolest vehicle I've still ever driven to this day is the Ford Raptor pickup truck.
Oh, my gosh, what a beast.
They are, I don't care where you drive it, when you drive it, and as long as they've been out, that is just people looking like, oh, they give thumbs up, they'll blow the horn. That's a really cool truck. The stance is about 7 inches wider than a regular F-150. The drive, the feel, the power, that truck is just awesome. So I really enjoyed driving the Raptors. Sharon and I have taken those on vacation a couple times. It was really cool to drive that.
That's awesome. Last couple questions as we wind down. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
What has been your favorite and least favorite thing about your current role?
Favorite thing is the people, meeting new people, being out at different functions and events. The hardest part, and the part I just sometimes it keeps me awake at night, is I'm not able to do more for some folks. There's such a need out there. we did a lot when Helene came through. We were up in the mountains. All of our stores came together and did a tremendous job of rounding up the stuff that we needed. We still are very active in that, but when you drive through an area and see the need, you're like, golly, Helene created this, and it's really tough and it's devastating, and they've got a long way to go. But when it's not Helene related, and it's right here in this county or any of the 3 counties or in Rowan County that you see there's such a need and you're not able to help, that's very difficult. I have a hard time telling people no, and that's difficult to do sometimes, but I have to. I can't help everyone. And it's, Lenny, it's so difficult to choose which ones because there are so many good organizations in this area. There's people that do a tremendous amount, way more than what I do and what I could ever do. That they just give so much of their time and maybe the monetary that they're able to help. And I just, that part keeps me awake at night on, golly, I wish I could have done more. Yeah.
And then last 3 things for you. I have to ask, because you were born and raised out here.
Yep.
What has been your favorite part over the past number of years of seeing the growth, not only from people moving here, but the investment? Like the best example is like Hickory, investing in Hickory. Like all these different counties really investing in themselves and working on bigger and bigger projects to not only help the business side of things, but to help the community, the family factor of people enjoying living here. What's been your favorite things over the past couple years about living here and being a true, what's the word? True, oh my goodness. I had the word in my head. Local. There you go. I couldn't even think of that.
Whatever it is. I wasn't sure if that was your word, but that's it.
That's the word, the local.
Yeah.
Like you've lived here, like you were born and raised here. Like what has been your favorite things over the past number of years of seeing the growth in this community?
So when I was in the store, you're just in that glass house, as I mentioned earlier. But now that I'm able to be out and about in the community in all different areas, there's some days that I may just take a road that I hadn't been down. I'm like, I know where that goes, but let me just verify. Yeah. Let me just make sure this is where it's at. Being able to see firsthand the commitment that the leaders in this area have. When they talk about they want to see growth, they want to see affordable housing, they want to see better wages, they want to see child care. They're not just saying that. These people genuinely are connecting to try to make that happen for us. And we've talked about it a lot in the past, but I think now there's a lot more actions that we are trying to take because we've all realized, hey, this is so vital to the growth, partly, but the stability of our area. There's fantastic people in this area. We are so blessed with good people. We really have some genuine people. And I think seeing that firsthand, setting in on some of the economic meetings, some of the meetings that are connected with Rotary, some of the meetings that are connected with the local government, mayors and different groups, it's that when they're talking, they genuinely do want to figure out a way to help this area. Yeah.
And then the last thing before... So we have the last question that we ask is positive and try to end it on a positive note. For people who want to reach out, how can people reach out to Cloninger? How can people just find more information about Cloninger? Maybe they want to buy a car. However they can support Cloninger, like website, social media, how do they go about that?
Yeah, thank you. For the first part of that, it's Cloninger Ford of Hickory.com, Cloninger Ford of Morganton.com, or you can just Google Just Better Auto and it'll take you to all of them. The other part of it is if there's a need, and I'm sure there is, and again, I wish I could do them all, but I can't, but we really take time to look at it, they can send it to request@justbetterauto.com. If you've got a function going on, and sometimes, Lenny, it's not about the money. It's like, hey, could you display a vehicle? Hey, could you come to this? Hey, last week we were cool. We got a really good connection with CVCC, and so they asked me to come down and drive Dr. Henshaw around in their community parade. So I took the 250 I'm driving, cleaned it up, put a chair in the back, and we set him up there and rode him around. So if you've got a function going on, we'd like to at least hear about it. So again, request@justbetterauto.com.
Boom. And all this is going to be in the description below, so website, all this stuff is going to be down there for them to see. But go check it out. And then the last thing, we end every podcast on a positive note.
Hopefully, it's all been positive.
It's been positive, but for the end. No.
Yeah, heart emoji again.
Heart emoji.
Yeah.
For someone watching, we try to end on a positive, inspirational note where over your years of doing everything in your profession and life. You have a lot of life experience. I feel like every guest brings something different. So the last question for someone watching us, what's the best piece of life advice that you can give them right now?
Here's what I can tell you, and that's real simple. Everybody that's on this planet right now wants two things. They want to be loved, and they want more time. And that together equals be nice to people. Treat them like you want to be treated.
That was perfect. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah,
I really
absolutely.
do appreciate it.
Oh, it's fun to be here.
Thank you so much. When you texted me back, I was like, yeah, let's do this, 100%. I was like, no shot, but that was. This has been awesome. I really do appreciate it.
It's been really good.
Yeah. So one more time, JD Abee with Cloninger Automotive. Make sure you go check them out. Like I said, all the links will be in the description below. One more time for Lake Hickory Pub and Marina for allowing us the film here. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button down here. I always forget which corner. One of them. But most importantly, until next time, lift love, crush hate. We out.